Hello everybody, Professor Zanilovic here. In this video, I'm going to introduce Microsoft Excel to you. Excel is a very powerful tool used to communicate quantitative business information. It is also used as a collaborative tool. It has ability to perform business intelligence analysis. For example, business intelligence, you can find hidden trends or patterns in your data that otherwise you would not be able to. This video is about spreadsheets and not about business analysis. We need to learn the basics first before we can tackle more complex topics such as business analysis. So after watching this video, you will be able to create a spreadsheet, populate it with data, and make it visually appealing by applying styles and formats. In addition, you will learn how to use formulas and functions to perform calculations. When I look at a bunch of numbers in a spreadsheet, they don't speak to me because I'm a visual learner. I understand data better when I see it displayed as a chart. So for learners like me that are visual, we're going to take numeric data and present it as a chart. Marcus Tullius Cicero was a Roman statesman, lawyer, scholar, philosopher, and writer. In short, very accomplished ancient Roman citizen. He coined the expression historia est magistra vitae, which translates to history's life teacher. What it means is that the study of the past should serve as a lesson to the future. Thus, we will start with a brief historical perspective of accounting and bookkeeping. Next, we're going to learn about origins of Excel and history of Excel, and after that we'll take Excel for a spin. We will create a workbook, save it to a location of your choice, enter some data to set the stage to learn how to manipulate it with formulas and the sum function. We will make the spreadsheet more visually appealing by applying different themes, formats, and styles. For visual learners like me, we will display numeric data as a chart and use Sparklines feature to show trends in data. Finally, we will print the worksheet and display formulas. So that is the plan. As you see, we have a lot to cover. Let's start with history. More than 7,000 years ago, ancient merchants in Mesopotamia, in cities like Babylon, Assyria, and Sumer, they inscribed records of goods received sold in clay or stone tablets. Keep in mind that in those times most people were illiterate. Most of the ledgers were kept in human memory. As different cultures made progress in writing, learning how to count, introducing money, their accounting processes also evolved as well. Keeping transaction records in stone or clay tablets was a huge leap for the mankind. Around 4000 BC, ancient Egyptians had auditing systems in place to control movements of goods in and out of storehouses. It took ruling class about 1,000 years to find a way to get in on the action and impose tax. The earliest evidence of taxation is recorded around 3000 BC. Since there was no physical currency in ancient Egypt, taxes imposed on their citizens were in forms of grain supply. For non-compliant citizens, the laws were so strict that some of them were beaten in public or set on fire. Throughout the history, the process of taxation and punishment for non-compliance varied significantly from culture to culture. Let's fast forward to ancient Rome. Let's see what they contributed to accounting practices and or taxation. The Roman government and military kept impeccable records of their expenditures as they conquered most of the known world in that time. Over time, such practices found their way into private transactions. Thanks to Julius Caesar, sales tax was introduced. His successor, Emperor Augustus, we have him to thank for the income tax. Now that we know that, from ancient Rome, not much changed for centuries until the 14th century AD. At that time, double entry bookkeeping emerged in the city of Florence. This made sense as Florence was an important financial center in that era. Double-entry bookkeeping introduced the concept of debit and credit. A debit entry in an account represents a transfer of value to that account. A credit entry represents transfer from that account. From that point forward, pen and paper was used to keep track of transactions. That was true until 1961, when Richard Mateschitz outlined the concept of electronic spreadsheet in his Budgeting Models and System Simulation paper. This set the stage for the emergence of electronic bookkeeping. This de facto marks the beginning of the history of electronic spreadsheets. The concept that Mateschitz outlined wasn't exactly a primitive version of Excel. It was rather a batch spreadsheet report generator, or in short, BSRG. In subsequent papers, Mateschitz built on this concept to apply computerized spreadsheets to accounting systems by adding or subtracting entire columns or rows of data. 1969, almost a decade after the invention of the BSRG, spreadsheet calculation abilities took a major leap forward, thanks to the invention of the LANPAR, or Language for Programming Arrays at Random. This enabled spreadsheets to perform cell-level references and calculations which were not possible up to this point. LANPAR took spreadsheets out of the university research into the corporate world, as corporations such as IBM, GM, Bell Canada, and others started to use it. In the late 70s, two new spreadsheet programs emerged, the IBM Financial Planning and Control System and APL-DOT, which was developed by the United States Railway. This enabled industry-wide financial modeling with spreadsheets. The technology started spreading internationally. Keep in mind that personal computers in those years were not so ubiquitous as they are today, so only big corporations used spreadsheet software. That all changed in 1978 when Dan Bricklin developed VisiCalc for Mac. VisiCalc had limited capabilities as it could only calculate data within a matrix of 5 columns and 20 rows. Dan was not a programmer, so he hired Bob Frankston, who helped him improve the program. VisiCalc was a success. They went on to sell over 1 million copies of the program. A couple of years later, in 1980, SuperCalc was published by the Sourcim Corporation, later known as Computer Associates. This application was bundled with WordStar, which was a word processor. Almost to this day, WordStar has a huge following. A little known fact is that the popular TV series, The Game of Thrones book collection, called A Song of Ice and Fire, authored by George Martin, was written using MS-DOS version of WordStar. Around this time, in 1982, Microsoft joined the competition by publishing Multiplan. Unfortunately for Microsoft, Multiplan was an utmost failure. A year later, in 1983, Mitch Kapor developed a new spreadsheet program called Lotus 1-2-3. What was revolutionary for Lotus 1-2-3 is that it had charting, graphing, and rudimentary database functions. This enabled it to become de facto industry software. Microsoft wasn't throwing in the towel yet, so in 1985 they published Excel 1.0, guess what, for Mac. The reason being is that at that time Mac had superior graphical user interface. Excel 1.0 had nice interface, as you can see, with pull-down menus and point-and-click capabilities. It will take Microsoft 2 more years until they were able to publish Excel Windows version. Excel 2.0 made its debut in 1987. From that point forward, as Microsoft Windows operating system matured, so did Microsoft Office applications. Now that we've learned about the history of accounting and spreadsheets, let's dive into Excel. Click the Windows Start button and find Excel app. Alternatively, type Excel in the search box. Start Excel. You're presented with a familiar interface that permeates throughout Microsoft Office applications. Here you can choose from a variety of templates. A template for Excel is a pre-built spreadsheet or workbook that is already formatted, organized, and styled with colors and fonts. It contains formulas tailored for its purpose. Click More Templates to see all available templates. Templates are grouped into categories such as business, personal, planners and trackers, lists, budgets, etc. Your screen may not show all the templates you see on my screen. That is because I have used some of these templates, such as Gantt Project Planner template. That is the reason why they are showing up here. Click on the business category. As you can see, there are many choices here. You can choose a template to invoice your customers. Perhaps you would like to track your time using Weekly Sheet, track petty cash, company budget, inventory, profit and loss, etc. If you do not find anything that fits your needs, you can search using keywords. For example, let's say you need to track a list of books. Type books in the search bar and Excel will search in Office Cloud Template Database, and if there is a match, display a list of templates that match the search phrase. If there is no template that fully matches your needs, you can start with a template that matches most of the functionality you are looking for and use it as a starting point and modify it to your liking. The bottom line is that using templates will save you a lot of time. Click the back button. You can explore other templates at your convenience. For this demonstration, we're going to use the blank workbook. Click Blank Workbook. A generic workbook is displayed. How do I know this is a generic workbook? Have a look at the title bar. The name of this document is listed as Book 1. Microsoft Word labels generic documents as Document 1, Document 2, Document 3, etc. In Excel, generic name for document is Book 1, Book 2, Book 3, etc. A document in Excel is called a workbook, and it consists of worksheets, also called spreadsheets. You can think of a workbook as a loose leaf binder, and each spreadsheet would be like a sheet of paper in the binder. In essence, a workbook is a container of spreadsheets. There are 4 major window parts in the Excel application. This is the title bar. This is the worksheet grid area. At the bottom, this is the status bar. To the right of the status bar, there are the workbook view buttons and zoom control. You need to be familiar with Excel component names, you need to know where to find them, and you need to know their functionality. The Excel title bar comprises a collection of discrete components that collectively help you in interaction with the application. The main purpose of the Excel title bar is to display the name of the currently active workbook. On my screen, I have autosave. This option is only available if you save your file to Microsoft's cloud. Save. Save behaves like save as for generic documents. Once you save your workbook, save and save as commands become distinct. Save saves the existing workbook. Save as renames the existing workbook. Undo and redo are self-explanatory. Hover with your cursor over the down arrow and a tooltip window will appear displaying Customize Quick Access Toolbar like so. Left mouse button click on it and the menu of commands displays. The check marks to the left of these commands indicate enabled commands in the Quick Access toolbar. You can add or remove any commands from the list. Let's add the Open command to the Quick Access toolbar. Left mouse button, click Open, and there it is, added to the Quick Access toolbar. To remove it, click the down arrow of the Quick Access toolbar, locate the Open command, and click on it with the left mouse button. If the desired command is not in the list, choose More Commands to display the Quick Access toolbar dialog box. Here you have all the available commands at your disposal. The list on the left contains available commands, and the list on the right contains commands that have already been added to the Quick Access toolbar. Select a command from either list and use Add or Remove buttons to customize the Quick Access toolbar. Let's add the Cut command from the list of available commands. Select it by clicking the left mouse button on it and click the Add button to add it to the right-hand side list. To remove a command from the Quick Access toolbar, select it in the right-hand side list and click the Remove button. Click OK to save your choice, otherwise click Cancel like so. There's an additional way to customize Quick Access toolbar using the ribbon. Right-click any command in the ribbon interface, let's say Merge and Center. Choose Add to Quick Access toolbar from the context menu, and Merge and Center appears in the Quick Access toolbar. To remove it, click the Quick Access toolbar, choose More Commands, select Merge and Center from the right-hand side list, like so. Click Remove button, click OK to confirm your choice, and dismiss the dialog box. Lastly, a word of advice. Don't clutter your Quick Access toolbar, as it will defeat the purpose, because with too many commands you will spend time searching for the appropriate command. Put only those commands that you most frequently use. Let's continue to explore the rest of the title bar. The workbook name is displayed to the right of the Quick Access toolbar, but slightly to the left of the center of the title bar. If you have several open workbooks and need to confirm the name of the workbook you're working on, direct your focus over to the center of the title bar and you can easily identify the name of the file you're working on. There's also a search box where you can use to search for a certain phrase. This is your account information over here. This is the ribbon options command, which lets you specify ribbon settings. There are three choices. Auto hide the ribbon. This is a good choice if your computer screen is small. It will hide the ribbon automatically to give you more real estate on your screen. To see the ribbon again, click at the top of the Excel to show it. Show tabs displays only tabs. To see function groupings, you need to click on any tab. Show tabs and commands is the default ribbon setting. Also, you can collapse the ribbon by clicking this button. Only tabs will be displayed. Click any tab to show the functionality like so. If you want to see tabs and commands, you need to pin the ribbon by clicking the Pin button. Over here at the very right of the title bar, we have application level buttons or window controls. These are minimize, close, maximize, or restore the previous size of the displayed workbook window. This command not only remembers the size of the window, but also its position on the screen. Let me resize the window just a little bit. Then maximize it. Let's restore it down. And voila, the size and the exact position of the Excel window on the screen has been restored. Next, let's explore ribbon and the functionality under each tab. We start with the File tab. As you know from Microsoft Word lectures, this is called the Backstage view. Here you can perform a variety of tasks, including creating new file, opening, saving, renaming, sharing, exporting a file, etc. Click the Info tab. This tab is used to set metadata properties such as title, tags, subject, company, author, and few other options that are available on the left. Click Options to launch the Excel Options dialog box. Here you have many tabs to customize your Excel app. Click Cancel to dismiss the dialog box. Let's explore the rest of the ribbon tabs and compare them to the Word tabs. Here's Excel Workbook and Word Document. In the Home tab, some of the function groupings should be very familiar. As you see here in Excel, you have Cut, Copy, Format, Painter, and Paste, and pretty much you have the same functions in the Clipboard function grouping under the Home tab. Font function grouping is very similar. Here's Excel, here's Word. Word has a little bit more functions here. If you launch the dialog box, for Word you have additional functions for font. In Excel, let's see what happens if we launch the dialog box for font settings. Pretty much the same, except you have additional tabs here for number, for alignment, for border, for fill, protection, but font for Excel roughly matches the font functionality in Microsoft Word. We're still in the Home tab. Under the alignment, we have paragraph. Within alignment function group, you have ways to align left, align center, align right. In addition to that, that would be horizontal. Our alignment here, you can align it top, you can middle align, and you can also bottom align, that is vertical alignment. You have wrap text, merge and center. Here you also have in the paragraph function group. Moving forward, here we have number, styles, cells, and then editing. There's no number, styles, and cells in Word, but we have editing. Under editing, you have actually find and select. So here you can find, replace, go to. Over here you have find, replace, and under find you have go to. So a lot of this should be familiar to you. Under the Insert tab, pivot tables and table, that is new. Then illustrations should be very, very similar to Word. If you look here in the Insert, illustrations, you've got Smart Art, Screenshot, you have shapes. You have shapes here as well. You have icons here, pictures. So very, very similar for both applications. Then in Excel, we have charts, that is new, 3D maps, spark lines, filters, links, comments, and over here in the text function group, this should be almost identical to what you are accustomed to in Microsoft Word. So you've got your text box, Word art, here's Word art, signature line, and object. We can insert objects or text from file. Here's object, and you can insert either from file or create an object of this type. Finally, symbols, you've got symbol and equation, and here you've got equation and symbol. So lots of similarity in the Insert tab. Let's look at the Draw. Click on Draw here. Very close. Here you've got drawing tools, and over here you also got drawing tools, draw with touch. Some differences, but ink to math, ink to shape. So very similar. Moving forward, page layout. Here we don't have page layout, but we've got design and layout. So it looks like elements of design, such as themes, were copied here to themes in Excel. In addition to that, we've got colors and fonts. Here you've got your colors, fonts, and you have effects. Okay, so those are pretty much copied straightforward from the design tab. Let's look at the layout. In the layout, you've got margins, orientation, size, columns, margin, orientation, size. There's no columns here, but there's print area. There's breaks, line number, hyphenation, scale to fit. All right, so very, very similar. Bring alignment, grouping, rotation, send backward, bring forward, wrapping the text, position. So it is very, very similar. Layout and design from Word were combined into page layout. And you've got formulas. That is very new. You have a lot of functions ranging from statistical engineering, cube, information, and math and trig, lookup and reference, date and time, text functions, logical functions, financial, and so on and so forth. We're going to discuss that in the near future. In addition to that, you've got data, where you can import data from different sources, from files, from databases such as SQL Server, Oracle, Access, from Azure, from online services, from other sources, even from pictures. So that would be get and transform data, data types, sort and filter, that should be familiar, and what if analysis. So you see, this is a very, very powerful tool. Let's click on review. Review should be very familiar because there's a review in Microsoft Word. So a lot of this is going to be the same. Let's look at the view. Under view, you have normal, page break, preview, page layout, and you've got your custom views. Under page layout, you can add headers and footers, so that should be familiar. Here under view, you have print layout, web layout, outline, and that is pretty much it. Both applications have these icons on the bottom where you can change views. So for example, right now we are in normal view. If I click on this one, this is page layout view, and this one should be page break preview. Most of the time you will be working in the normal view. If you recall from Word, you can also change your views down here in the status bar, like so. That should be very familiar. And Automate and Developer are two new tabs. For example, you can connect from, let's say, C# into Excel and write C# programs to automate Excel programmatically. Help should be pretty much the same help as here. So that is an overview of ribbon tabs. Okay, let's explore the status bar. Status bar is this area down here at the bottom. Some of the functionalities we have already discussed, such as these commands here, where you can change your view from normal to page layout to page break preview. We said we're going to most of the time work in the normal view. Let's look at the controls to the left in the status bar. There are these two arrow tips. You can move by clicking on these commands. You can move from sheet to sheet in case you have many sheets that are open. Right now I have only one sheet open. So these tab scrolling buttons are used to display what is not in view when you have many sheet tabs open. Next we have a sheet tab, and we also have a new sheet button. We're going to discuss this in just a minute. When you click on this button, it basically creates a new sheet and gives it a generic name, like so. Furthermore, this control that tells you whether there are any macros that are being recorded. Macros are part of the Automate tab. When you have repetitive tasks that you perform day in, day out, rather than repeating them every day and possibly making errors, you could record what is known as a macro, and that is recording actions. You just use Excel as you normally would, save that macro and run it on a daily basis. Would see here if a macro is being recorded. This ready button is for the status of your cell. Let's say I type something here, something like that. See how it changed to enter. If I enter, if I go back, it tells me that it's ready. Whatever I'm entering in here, it is telling me the status of my cell. Right now, I am editing that cell. When I press the enter key, if I go back, it tells me that it's ready. I'm going to delete these two, go back to home and clear all. Last but not least, we have the zoom control over here where you can zoom in and zoom out. In addition, you can click on the numbers here and choose ready-made, like 200 zoom. If you click on it, it's pretty big. Or you can choose custom zoom. That's going to be, let's say, 123. Excel spreadsheet is a grid consisting of rows and columns. Before we elaborate on rows and columns, let's take a brief detour and see a few examples. Here's an example of a grid. A grid is a pattern made up of series of intersected lines forming squares. Each square, also called a cell, can be identified by its location or address in the grid, making it easy to lay out or find objects in the grid. René Descartes, French mathematician, came up with coordinate system. In this system, any point on the grid can be identified by its offset in horizontal and vertical axes. For example, here you have point A. Its offset on the horizontal axis, usually denoted as the x-axis, is 3 points. On the y-axis or the vertical axis, it is 2. So A's address is 3, 2. 3 points offset by x and 2 points offset by y. Similarly, B is -1 and -4. All right, a couple other examples. Battleship Game is a worldwide known pencil and paper strategy game for 2 players. It is played on a ruled grid on which each player marks their fleet of warships, submarines, destroyers, patrol boats, etc. The location of fleets are concealed from the other player. The objective of the game is to destroy opposing players' fleet. Each player gets their turn calling shots at the other player's fleet by calling a target square in the opponent's grid. The opponent announces whether the ship has been hit or not. Another example is the game of chess. It is also a grid-based game, and so is the Minesweeper game. We, in Miami, Florida, we live in a grid where there's 4 quadrants: northwest, northeast, southeast, and southwest. Flagler Street and Miami Avenue are the horizontal and vertical axes on the grid. So it makes it very easy to find anybody's address. If their address is, for example, in southwest, you can ignore northwest, northeast, and southeast addresses and find your location easier. All right, back to Excel. Okay, so we're back in Excel. Now that we know about rows and columns, let's find out where to locate the rows and columns in Excel. In Excel, columns are letter named and rows are numbered: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on and so forth. You can select a column by hovering with your cursor. See how the cursor has this shape. Once the shape changes to this small down arrow, at this point you can left mouse button click to select desired column. These are column headings. You can select multiple columns by clicking in the first column that you want to select. Hold the left mouse button down and just drag and select the rest of the columns. Similarly, to select a row, you would need to click on the row heading with the left mouse button, and that is how you select a row. You can select multiple rows, just like that. Other things that we need to understand: yes, Excel is a grid. Each cell is an intersection of a row and column. For example, here I am clicking. You see how I get F and 5 highlighted. So column heading and row heading are highlighted, and so is the cell. When you see a cell highlighted like this, that makes that cell an active cell. Click anywhere, and these are your visual cues. Column heading and row heading, they get highlighted. Second visual cue is this control here that is called the name box. Name box contains the address of an active cell. It doesn't just contain the address of an active cell. You can, for example, type any address you want to go to. For example, F18, and it's going to take it to column F, row 18. Let's say I want to go back to A1. Just type A1, press the Enter key, and it takes you back to that address. You need to focus your attention to the name box when you're looking for a particular address. In addition to the name box, you have other controls. Here is a very important control that is called the formula bar. We're going to explore that in a little bit more details. In addition to the formula bar, to the left of it, you have insert function, soft enter key, and cancel or delete. We're going to look into these in just a minute. Let's look into active cells. So right here, I am in E6. How do I know I'm in E6? Visual cue E and 6, and also name box tells me that I am currently in E6. I want to elaborate on this dot that you see here in the lower right hand corner of the active cell. This dot is known as the fill handle. Fill handle is used to propagate certain patterns, to fill a pattern. So for example, if I was to type January and go to the fill handle, see how the cursor changes to this shape, to the plus sign, hold the left mouse button and drag, and it's going to fill that particular series. You don't have to spell it all out like so. You can just type January and go to fill handle and propagate it, and it's going to give you abbreviated version. Days of the week, Monday, for example. Go to fill handle and fill the rest of the series by dragging the fill handle. Now here you also have this autofill options. Go ahead and click on that icon, and you see that fill series is the default behavior. You can change that to copy cells. Let me do that real quick and see. You get Monday, Monday, Monday as a series. I'm going to go back to fill series. And other options are to fill formatting, fill days, fill weekdays. These are some known patterns. Let me leave it as fill series, and let's look into numbers. Let's say you want to display every third numbers. You start 0 and you put 3. So this is the beginning of a pattern. Once you have that pattern, you select the start of your pattern and go to fill handle, hold the left mouse button down and propagate your series as you see fit. So 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. You see how Excel is pretty smart to do that for you. All right, as you see, Excel is going to make you very productive. This tool is geared towards productivity, so don't waste your time typing some of these things like what we've demonstrated here. Type a label, which is text, and if it's a known label like month, day of week, you can use fill handle to propagate. If it's an unknown, for example, if I have, let's say, true and false, like so, I can grab these two and propagate them down, and it goes true, false, true, false, true, false. Okay, so any pattern that you can think of, Excel is smart enough to do that for you. Let me select all this and let's clear all. Okay, let's save our generic worksheet. Right now it's called Book 1. Let's save it under different name. At this point, as you know, since this is a generic document, save and save as act the same. Click on Save, and then pick a location where you want to save your file. I'm going to click here on More Options, and I'm going to navigate to location where I want to save it. And here I have CGS 1060. Let me save it here as my last name. First name initial dash E for Excel dash 1A, because this is project A, capital A. Right? Now, you can save it under many different formats. By default, it's a Excel workbook format. If you click on the down arrow here, you can see that it can be saved as Excel macro enabled workbook, binary, the previous versions from 97 to 2003, comma separated values, XML, as a web page, template. If you are artistic enough, if you want to create templates and put it up in Microsoft Office, you can do that. Text file and different versions of it. So for example, here you have an older version, 2003 or Excel workbook, text for Macintosh, text for MS-DOS, CSV for Mac, CSV for DOS, and so on and so forth. You can also exchange documents, for example, with open document spreadsheets. For now, we're just going to save it as Excel workbook. Click Save and observe the title bar. It contains the new file name. Couple real quick things to explain. You know what the name box is. In fact, any of these controls, if you don't know what they are, you can just hover and find out their name in this tooltip that appears, this little window. Down here, we have sheet 1. We said we can add another sheet, we can add another sheet and another sheet. And we can also rename these sheets. For example, to rename sheet 4 to something else, you can right-click on it. In this menu, choose Rename, and it selects the text, and here you can type whatever you want. Type the name of your sheet. So let me call this, let's say, 4th sheet, like so. Oops, not $, but 4th sheet. Press the Enter key, and that is the name of your sheet. So that is one way. Right-click and rename. A quicker way to do that would be to, in any of these sheets, when they're active, just double-click on the name, and this one we're going to rename it 2nd sheet. Double-click with left mouse button, and you get your selection of the text, and you can complete renaming your text. Okay, with the method of your choice, rename these. I'm going to right-click, say rename, and this is going to be, let's say, 3rd sheet. This one we're going to rename as 1st sheet. This time I'm double-clicking, so 1st sheet. Okay, to make this stand out a little more, you can put different tab colors for each of your tabs or your sheets. That is done by right-clicking, choosing tab color, and picking any of these colors. You have standard colors, and you also have theme colors that have variations of the color. So here this is dark blue, and if you hover over each one of the choices, you're going to get the name of a particular color in the tooltip. Pick a color that you like. I'm going to go with this one here. This one, let's say I'm going to go with the standard color. This one, let's pick, let's say, this color, and here let's pick this one. Okay. Thing to notice here, as you click on your sheet and make it active sheet, notice how tab color becomes obscure. That is how you know that this is your active sheet. You could perform actions on all sheets at the same time. For that, you would need to click on any of the sheets, then right mouse button click and select all sheets. The visual cue, if you have tab colors, would be that all of the tab colors are obscured now. If you haven't set up tab colors, then you don't get really a good visual cue down here. However, in the title bar, you have another visual cue that tells you that you are currently in the group mode. Anything that you type on any of these sheets will be reflected on all of them. One more time, when I click on any of these sheets to get out of the group mode, visual cue in the title bar goes away. I'm going to type a couple of things. I'm going to be in the 1st sheet. So here I'm going to type 1st sheet. Oops. Let's make it 1st sheet. Here, 2nd sheet. Notice that I was typing directly in the active cell. I'm going to go to the formula bar and type 2nd sheet. So 2nd sheet. And this time I'm going to press the soft enter key. When you press the soft enter key, the active cell remains active. If I go to, let's say I go to third sheet, or doesn't matter, I can be on the second sheet and type something here. I'm going to say this is a label. If I was to press the hardware enter key, which is the one located on your keyboard, the enter key or the return key, the cell beneath my cell becomes an active cell. So my active cell moves to the cell beneath it. The benefit of pressing the soft enter key is that you're going to keep your cell active. Okay, let's go to third sheet. Let's type here third sheet, and maybe I can say title like this. I want to cancel. It deletes whatever I typed. Okay, so I'm going to type again. Let's say like this, spell it out, third sheet, and press, doesn't matter which, at this time I press the hardware enter key. Now I realize I have violated the pattern. This one says number 2 and then abbreviation for second, this one first. So I can go back and I want to change this. The easiest way is to change it here in the formula bar, type 3 and then RD for third sheet. In the fourth sheet, I'm going to purposely make a mistake again. I'm going to type fourth sheet like so. Press the enter key and change it. This time double click in here in the active cell and change that to fourth sheet. So you have several different ways to make these changes. Okay, so we have some titles here. Now we want to put certain content in here that's going to be exactly the same for all sheets. In that case, pick one of the sheets, right click, select all sheets, verify that you're in group mode. From this point forward, whatever you type in here, it's going to be reflected on all selected sheets. Let's click here. This is a test. Let's just type that. Let's style it. Let's give it some color. I want to make this green color. Let's boldface it, italicize it, and here type 10. Let's say 20. I'm going to select it and propagate it to 100. Okay, that's all we want to do. Get out of the group mode. See, we're still in the group mode. Here's your visual cue. How do you get out of group mode? You click on any of the sheets. So here's, I'm in the fourth sheet. Tells me that I'm in fourth. Here I am in first sheet, in second, in third. So this is wonderful if you need to copy or write the same information on all sheets that you have in your workbook. However, you need to be careful because some of this could actually overwrite things that you don't want it to overwrite. The only visual cues that you have is if you have tab colors, they become obscure when you're in group mode, and as I mentioned, in the title bar. Let's say by mistake end up being in group mode like so. You don't realize that you're in group mode and you want to change the title here, and you say this is my second sheet. Press the enter key and you click to see, oh wow, look, fourth, third, second, first, they all have this is my second sheet. When you're in group mode, you could override things that you don't want to override. However, having said all that, if you just pay attention and make sure that you are in group mode, then this becomes very productive way to fill out several sheets at one. Let me select group mode here. In group mode, let me select all of this that we did, and I'm gonna clear all formats. Oops, I need to clear this guy too. I'm gonna start deleting sheets, so I need to get out of the group mode. Click on any sheet. Let me demonstrate how you delete them. You right click and choose delete. Do you want to delete? Yes. Now, even if you have data in them, you can still delete your sheet. I didn't have to clear the data and the formatting. That's not going to affect it. So let me delete this one. Yes. See how it's asking, do you want to delete? Yes. Now here comes the problem. I want to delete this one, and I try to delete, and it says workbook must contain at least one visible worksheet, so it won't let me delete the only sheet. So I'm going to create a new one and go proceed to delete this one that was styled. There you go. Now we're back to blank workbook. Okay, let's enter some data. So let's navigate to cell A1. I could click like so and navigate to cell A1, or it doesn't matter. Let's say I'm somewhere down here and I really quickly need to go. So see, I am at M83. So I'm on 84, pardon me, on 84th row, but I need to be in the first cell. It's done easily by clicking in the name box, typing A1, pressing the enter key, and it takes you all the way up to the first cell. Let's go ahead and type Hawks Consulting. Press the hardware enter key. Couple things to elaborate here. Notice the width of this column. I just typed Hawks Consulting. Let me make it a little bigger so you all can see it better, like so. And if I was to type something to the right of it, I just type text. See, now it obscures Hawks Consulting. That is the default behavior. When you are typing some label or text, if there's nothing to the right of your active cell, then the contents of your active cell can spill over to the neighboring cell. However, if you need to type something here, like example, then it obscures the original text. So how do you deal with that? Well, if you need to make this visible, there are several ways to do that. One of them is to go between the two column headings, wait for the cursor to change into this shape, which is a bar with two arrows in opposing directions, then left mouse button click and move it to a particular width, in this case 250 pixels. All right, that's one way. Another way would be to bring your cursor up here. Once you have that shape, double click, and Excel is going to figure out what is the optimal width for that column. Third way, which is pretty much the same, what we just did, is called auto fitting. You would select your column, you would navigate over here to format, and then choose auto fit column width. And you would find the widest string in your columns. Right here we have only one string, so it is fitting the width according to the width of this string, right? I'm going to leave it the way it was, like so. I'm going to get rid of this. And we're going to type a couple other things. In A2, third quarter associates commissions. Press the enter key. You should be in A3. We want to skip A3. We want to go to A4. I'm going to go here, type A4, press the enter key, just to demonstrate one more time how the name box works. Okay, so A4 is now our active cell. Here, type California. Press the enter key. Now type only C. When you type C, Excel autocomplete feature kicks in and it's trying to complete your word. So it thinks that you want to write California. To accept it, you can press the tab key and it takes care of that. If you don't want to type California, when you type C, then you can just continue typing. In this case, I want to type Colorado, so type Colorado, press the enter key, then type Washington, press the enter key and type Arizona. One more, press the enter key, type monthly total. Click on cell B as in boy 3. So B3. There it is. Verify in the name box that you're in B3. Before you start typing anything in this cell, take a look at the formula bar. In the formula bar, you have cancel and enter buttons, they are inactive. Function button, insert function is active. Here I'm going to type July, like so. Notice the enter and cancel are now active. I would like to keep this cell active. Click the soft enter key and grab the fill handle and move it to D as in David 3. This is fill handle in action. It took the month that we typed, and because it's a known pattern of months and days, it can fill months, it propagated months to the D column. Go ahead and press the enter key for this to take effect. Let's select range B3 through D3. So B3 through D3, like this. This is a range. And center the text. Center it like so. Click away to dismiss the selection. We're going to also adjust the width of columns. Put your cursor between columns A and B, left mouse button click, and on your screen it may be showing different width because your monitor may not have the same number of pixels as mine, but I just want to demonstrate that you can move it to a particular width. Put it to 90 pixels. So here I'm going to make it 90, like so. Okay, so that is 90 pixels. Now in cell B as in boy 4, we're going to type some values here in July, August, September columns for California, Colorado, Washington, and Arizona. You can type whatever values you want, but since we're going to demonstrate how to use formulas, you may want to type the same numbers I am typing so that you can check your results. For July, in cell B as in boy 4, type 26696.63. Press the tab key, type 29963.17. Press the tab key and type 30527.49. Okay. Press the enter key and it brings you to the active cell beneath July values for California, because this is where we started entering our data. You could create a range like so, a selection, and whatever you type, here we were moving by pressing tab key to move from this cell to this cell to this cell. When we pressed the enter key, we moved to this particular cell. If you want to be even more productive, you can select the range, and now all you have to do is keep pressing the enter key. Type 14646.37, then type 13981.36. Press the enter key and type 23877.52. Please watch my screen. Press the enter key, moves it to that location. Type 13533.22, 14998.99. Press the enter key. 26776.44. Press the enter key. 16621.28. Press the enter key. 12586.57. Press the enter key, and last but not least, 25696.53. Press the enter key and it goes back to the first location in the selection. Click away to deselect your range. If you are working with keyboards that have numeric pad, that making a selection first and then just typing numbers and pressing the enter key, you can be a lot more productive than by typing, pressing the tab, typing again, pressing the tab, and pressing the enter key to move to the next row. Click away, save your work so we don't lose this. We're going to learn different ways to sum a range of numbers. Let's make cell B as in boy 8 active by clicking in it. Like to start a formula in Excel, you always start with an equal sign. That is how all formulas start in Excel. I want to add these values here, 2669, 14646.37. I want to sum them. You never type these numbers, you type the addresses. The address for 26696.63 is B4. Then what do I want to do? Plus, I want to add B5 plus B6. Notice the color coding for each of the cells that we referenced, and last one is going to be for Arizona plus B. So that is my formula. Press the enter key and you have your sum for these values. Have a look at the formula bar and you're going to see your formula as you typed it in here. This is one way to create a formula. Now, we're going to demonstrate another way. This is rather involved. You have to type the references and a lot of errors can happen. So here I'm going to type equal. Rather than typing, I'm going to point and click to the cell that I want to use. So here, C4, then type the plus sign, then click on this one, press the plus, type this one, press the plus. Press the enter key. Now you've summed all of them. These two formulas are equal. Here I have typed each and every address. Here I have pointed and clicked with the left mouse button to each address that is used in my formula, and all I had to type is equal and the math operator, in this case plus sign, in between the operands. Finally, let's go to D8. Make sure you're in the Home tab. Go to the editing function group, find auto sum, click on the down arrow, and you can click on the sum. Notice that it gives me also the keyboard shortcut, which is alternate plus equal. So alternate shift and equal on your keyboard will do the trick. Click on sum and the default behavior is exhibited because from the active cell, Excel attempts to sum values above the active cell. Here to the left and above, we have numeric values. Let me demonstrate another issue. I'm going to copy this guy right here so I don't have to type it again. Control X, Control V, and here I'm going to type ABC. This is not a numeric value. When I go to engage auto sum function, because this is non-numeric value, the behavior, the default behavior changes and it looks to the left of the active cell to see if there is any values to sum. Please remember that. That's how these functions behave. Let me click away to deselect that. Let me cut this. Control X, select, Control V, and my value is back there. Now, auto sum and press the enter key and voila, there's your sum. As you get more experience, you're gonna just type the formula. Let me show you that. You can still point and click, but you can just go like this, say equal, sum, open parentheses, click on the first one, hold the shift key, click on the last one, press the enter key, and you are done. All right, so that is how to sum range of values using several different methods. This one we typed addresses, this one we pointed and clicked and typed a little bit. This one we just selected the auto sum function. Those are three different ways. There's another way that you can use formulas, and this one is going to be using the fill handle. So you're going to create a formula that you want in one specific cell, then use the fill handle to copy that formula to the rest of the cells. Let's demonstrate that. Let's go to cell E as in Edward 3, and here type total. Press the Enter key. And in cell, let's go to E4 and engage Auto Sum. Auto Sum, you have that default behavior exhibited. It has a non-numeric or string value above it, so it doesn't have any values to sum above. It looks to the left of the active cell and finds these numeric values and says, is this the range that you want me to sum? The range is B4 through D4. Yes, that is the range we want to sum. Press the soft enter key to keep this cell active. Okay, now that we've done that, use the fill handle to propagate this formula all the way down through E8. Click away and let's examine the formula in the formula bar. So here it's summing B4 through D4. Here it's summing B5 through D5. Here it's summing B6 through D6, B7 through D7, and B8 through D8. That was very easy. You create your formula in one location and you utilize the fill handle to propagate that formula to the rest of the cells. Okay, click away, save your work. Let's go to cell F as in Frank 3. Here type trend. Then press the enter key. Now we're going to change the appearance of cells to make the worksheet a little more visually appealing. That is done by engaging some of these styles here in formatting. Go to cell A1. Select a range of cells. One way to select is to hold the left mouse button and drag until you get to the end of the range that you want to select. In this case, A1 through F1. That is my selection. Go to alignment group and merge and center that. So we've taken cells A1, B1, C1, D1, E1, and F1, and we merged them into de facto one cell. How do I know that? The name box tells me that. If I click on G, it's still G1, but here this is called A1. You can group number of cells into one cell by utilizing merge and center function. In the second row, third quarter associates, this time click in the first cell, hold the shift key and click in the last cell of the range that I want to select. And there's my selection. I'm going to merge and center again. Okay, go to cell A1. Here in styles, click on the down arrow and choose title. And click on A2, click styles, choose heading 1. These are ready-made formatting options and they're governed by your theme. Theme comes with colors, fonts, and other settings. This is part of your theme and you can change it. See, you get a live preview, you can change this. Okay, click away and save your work. Select range B3 through F3, but at the same time, I would like to select A4 through A8. And you see, I lost my initial selection. Here's my first selection, and I want to select now this one, I lose it. Okay, maybe I should hold the shift key. Let me select the first one, and I try this. Now I lost, but I'm only selecting part of it. Keep in mind, when you make a selection, let's try like this, hold the shift key, and I try to do that. Again, it doesn't work. If you're selecting a range of cells, let's say I want to select from B3 all the way through E3, I can just click on the first one, hold the shift key, and I've selected everything. So shift key on your keyboard is used to select adjacent cells, rows, columns, and so on and so forth. If you have non-adjacent range that you need to select, then you need to use the control key. So make your first selection, hold control key, then select A4 through A8, and now you're ready to apply any style or attributes to this selection. Click here on the down arrow and we'll give it heading 4 style. Click away and save your work. All right, these numbers here that we have, let's format them. Again, we need to make a selection. Select B4 all the way through E, as in Edward 4, like so. Hold the Control key to select non-adjacent range, which is B8 through E8. Make that selection. Apply the accounting number format to this selection. Accounting number format is this icon here, or if you click on the down arrow, you can choose the accounting number format. Either way works. When you apply accounting number format, at the end of the numeric value, you have a space, and before the numeric value, you have a $sign, and you also have commas that separate thousands from hundreds. So now they're not lined up. Select the inner range and apply the comma style format. Comma style format is pretty much the same thing as the accounting number format, except it doesn't have the leading $sign. In the financial industry, accounting personnel and financial professionals have this unwritten rule that the first line of numeric values and the last line of numeric values are in accounting number format, and everything in between is in the comma style format. So that makes it a little more organized for them, I would say. Click away, save your work. Select range B8 through E8 and apply the total style for this. Again, this is another thing that financial professionals like to do. This style, let me make it just a tad bigger so you can see, has a double line here and one line above to distinguish the totals from non-totals. Okay, let me make this custom fit. Let's say 125. That's a nice number, right? Auto fit A, like so, and then click away and save your work. I mentioned themes before. A theme is a predefined set of colors, fonts, lines, and fill effects for an attractive look. Let's go to page layout, click on themes, and you will see that by default we are in the Office theme. You can hover over each one of these options and tooltip will reveal the name of the theme, and you also have a live preview. Nothing's changed here. You just get live preview of what this would look like if you were to change a theme. Let's pick Slate. Notice that the styles have changed, namely the font has changed. If I go back to Home, now it's Callisto MT. If I was to go to the page layout and change my theme back to the Office and go back to Home and inspect the font here, this is Aptos Display, this is Aptos Normal, this is Aptos Narrow. Okay, we're going to go back to the Slate theme over here. So if you don't like the font or you don't like the colors, you can change the colors here to whatever you want. So let's say you want to change it, maybe make it this. And fonts, if you don't like fonts, you can pick fonts from this drop-down list. You can customize a particular theme to your liking. The top font is the font for the headings. The bottom font is the font for regular text. Most of the time you're going to see here, for example, Kandara and Kandara, Franklin and Franklin. But here this is Franklin Gothic Medium, and here this is Franklin Gothic Book, which would be for the non-titles. Okay, so you can change that if you like to something else. For example, Arial Times New Roman, titles appear in Arial and the regular text appears in Time New Roman. The other thing that you're noticing here is these hashtags. Excel is signaling to you that it doesn't have enough room to display these values. That's easily solved. Select the columns that are having that problem. Let Excel do the adjustments. Hover with your cursor between any of the column headings, borders, like so. When the cursor changes to this shape, double click and let it auto fit your columns. Click away, save your work, please. I'm visual, and when I look at these numbers, I see the numbers, I see all that, but I don't understand the numbers, if you know what I mean. Why? Because I'm visual. I need to draw this in order for this to make sense to me. Excel is wonderful with graphical representation of data in a worksheet. You have several ways to represent that. One is so-called spark lines. These are tiny charts that you can embed in a cell. Then you also have so-called recommended charts, which is an Excel feature that display a set of charts that best fits your data based on range of data that you selected. That's like Excel's recommendation. Try this type of chart. Let's demonstrate that. Select range A3 through D7. Please do not select the totals, only the data. Right now, with that range selected, go to the Insert tab. In the Charts group, you have Recommended Charts. Click on Recommended Charts, and Excel is recommending for this data that we insert clustered column. Okay, if you don't like that, click on All Charts and choose Line Chart, Pie Chart, and within each one of them, you have different options that you can choose from. For this exercise, we're gonna use clustered column, leave first choice, and click OK. Here, this data select as a chart. Have a look at the ribbon. You see that you have chart design and format menu options. Click away from the chart. Those menus vanish from the ribbon. These are context sensitive menus. You're on the chart context. Because of that, you get these two menu options in the ribbon. When the chart is selected, these tools become available. Otherwise, they're not there. Let's change a couple of things here. Chart title. Change the chart, double click on it like so to make a selection. This is just like Word, and type third like so. Third quarter associates commissions. Click away, and I made a mistake here. It's commissions. Notice these buttons here, and you also have chart design. You also have add element to the chart. So here's chart title is above chart. We can center it. Chart title, you can have none, or you can add chart title above chart. Now I lost it because whatever I typed, I lost it. Also want to show you that these buttons are shortcuts for these buttons here. So if I click on the plus, let's say I don't want the chart title, all I have to do is uncheck that and chart title goes away. In this case, we do want chart title, and if I click on this button here, I have these options above chart, center overlay, or more options, and I get this pane here to get additional formatting options. I'm going to go back and type what I already typed. So this is going to be third quarter commissions. Okay, click away. This time, save your work temporarily so we don't lose this. I can style this chart in a different style. So these are all available styles to style the chart. You can find that as well if you click on the chart design, and here are your chart styles. Pick one that you like, that speaks to you. I think I'm going to go with this one. Now you also have additional things that you can do. If you don't like this layout, you can pick from a variety of layouts that are available to you, like so. Maybe you want to see data underneath your chart along with the legend. So you can pick one that you like. Notice that these are labeled very generically, layout 1, layout 2, and it tells you in the tooltip window what it's going to be displayed. All right, I'm gonna go with this one. This looks good. I don't like these numbers to the left, so go here, and then I have these axes and I can choose which axis. I have primary, vertical. If I don't like that axis, see, I have axis title. I'm not going to put the title there. I'm going to get rid of it. I think this looks good. And the last thing I'm going to do, once I've styled my chart the way to my liking, I'm going to select it. Left mouse button. Actually, I need to elaborate. Point your cursor at the border. And when the cursor changes to these 4 arrows shape, left mouse button, drag it and put it into A11. A11 is the upper left corner of your chart. Put it there. And let's make it flush with the right edge. So grab these sizing handles and just make it flush with the right edge. Click away and save your work. Similarly, like you have this chart, we can also create a trend to see the trend for each state. That's where sparklines come in. Select B4 all the way through D as in David 7. So B4 through D7, make that selection. Go to Insert tab, click Insert. Go to the sparklines, and here you have line sparklines, column sparklines, or win-loss. We're going to go with the line sparkline. When you look at the tooltip, it tells you that sparklines are mini charts placed in single cell, each representing a row of data in your selection. All right, click on that. Now it's asking us to verify the data range, or if you haven't selected it, to select data range, and it's asking you where do you want to put this in your spreadsheet. Just select that like so, and you give it a range and click OK, and there's your sparklines. So here you see we started with 26,000, we went to 29, and we went to 30. Here we started with 14, dropped down to 13, then we went up. So there's your trend. Just like with charts, you also get context sensitive menu for the sparklines. If I click away from that, I lose it in the ribbon. If I select this, I get sparkline context sensitive menu. Here you have some choices. You can choose sparkline color, maybe make it red, and you can highlight the high point, see how you get these dots, and you can choose marker color for high point, let's say green, and then marker color for low point, let's make that blue. Okay, you can style this any which way you want. Click away, and now you have a nice little trend charts going on. Sparkline is a mini chart that is used to graphically represent trend in a row that is adjacent to it. Click away, save your work. Go to page layout. In page layout, you have margins, you have orientation, so portrait, landscape, you have print area, what you want to print, size of the paper you want to print. Maybe you want to put backgrounds such as your company title or something like that. Here with margins, please click custom margins. You're going to get this dialog box where you have page setup, which would be the orientation, portrait, landscape, margins, then header and footer, and also sheet, what you want to print, how do you want to print it. So we're going to start with header and footer. Go to the footer and choose custom footer. There are 3 sections in footers: left, center, and right. These icons tell you different things you can insert. You can insert page number, number of pages, date, time, file path, file name, sheet name, and so on and so forth. So in the left section, insert file name. And this cryptic thing, it says ampersand and then file. In the right hand section, you can insert, for example, date and time, number of pages, anything. Click OK. See, inserts that. Let's go to margins. Leave margins the way they are, but this preview here shows you that your spreadsheet is pushed to the upper left hand corner. You can center it horizontally on page and vertically on page. Let's look at print preview. Let's see what this would look like. It would look like this. Okay, it's okay. If you want to go back to page setup, you don't need to go back here and go to page layout, click on page setup, and that dialog box pops up again. Let's change it to landscape. This looks good, margins look good. Click OK, and now it's in landscape mode. Let's go back, save your work for now. Let's go back, page layout, margins, custom margins, print preview. Here's the footer in the print preview. Since we're here, click on info and add a couple of properties, show all properties. For the company, please type Miami-Dade College. Tags, anything that's going to help you remember this document. So commissions, sales associates, and let's say Western US. Make sure you are the author. If you're not the author, add yourself as an author. Click on that to add yourself as an author. Go back to the spreadsheet. Accountants, they like to see formulas. They don't particularly care for these totals. The reason being, if the data is correct and the formula is correct, then they really don't care to see the number. They can see the number anytime. Sometimes you will be asked to present your spreadsheet with formulas so they can check the validity of formulas. That is done here under formulas. Click on, in the formula auditing group, click show formulas. This shows all the formulas here. If I don't show formulas, I have values, but if I show formulas, it shows me how any of these formulas have been derived. This dotted line, this is the edge of the paper. So if we were to print this, if I was to go here and click on print, it gives me print preview, and it tells me that it's one of 2 pages. I would have this piece on the second page. Even though I put it in landscape mode, it's still not helping me print this nicely. There's a remedy for that. Click on page setup. Here, click on fit to 1 page. Click OK, and now the whole thing fits the way it needs to fit. I'm gonna go change the printer here. I am not gonna print it to paper document. I'm gonna use Microsoft Print to PDF. Just to demonstrate that, click on print. And it's asking me, where do I want to store this? Let's say I want to store it here in CGS. I'm going to name it the same as my spreadsheet, but I don't want XLSX as the extension. Click on save, and now it's printing it to that file. Let's review that real quick. CGS 1060, and here's my PDF. It should be this one. Open it with Adobe Acrobat. There it is, printed like so. Close it. Cancel out of here. Save your work. And close X. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you learned something along the way. Thank you. I will see you in class.